Last known images so far of that reporter, a woman arrested in the case and what they say happened. Tonight, egg prices and now the egg shortage here in the U.S. Two major stores now limiting the number of eggs you can buy. An egg stolen from Washington State to 100,000 stolen in Pennsylvania. The disturbing images, the father accused of knocking down two teenage referees. A former Disney star hospitalized tonight after saying she was shot in the face while target shooting. How this happened. And tonight, hear the new hero of Philadelphia, Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts, one-on-one, right here tonight.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to start another week with all of you at home. We do begin tonight with these two new back-to-back storms. 77 million Americans across several states on alert right now. Significant snow in some places, freezing rain, wind from Colorado all the way to the East Coast. Two storms, one hitting tomorrow, another on Wednesday, a conveyor belt of storms that won't stop. The first storm, Tuesday into Wednesday from Texas to Nashville, from Richmond, Virginia to Washington, D.C., heavy rain and snow. The second storm starting early Wednesday from Chicago to Detroit, then snow and freezing rain from Philadelphia to New York City to Boston. Of course, it all comes after the weekend storms, 3 inches of snow in New York City, up to 5 inches on Long Island. Treacherous roads. This is Bourne, Massachusetts, the gateway, of course, to Cape Cod, after more than 6 inches of snow. And now two new storms coming, hitting many of the same places. So let's get right to our chief meteorologist, Ginger Z. She's tracking it all again tonight. Hi, Ginger.
Hey there, David. Washington, D.C. has already had 8.4 inches of snow this season, which is average to date. They're about to surge past that tomorrow. So 24 hours from now, they'll be well into it. And we'll time it in a moment. But from Atlantic City back to Louisville, Kentucky, there are warnings for storm number 1. You see the blue though on the map from Grand Rapids and Saginaw, Michigan, back to Garden City, Kansas. That's for storm 2. We'll get to it. Let's get into the timing. Tomorrow morning, it's northern Kentucky into West Virginia. Throughout the afternoon hours, it picks up in Washington, D.C. and much of Virginia. We're talking Roanoke starts as snow and then switches over. If you want the heaviest totals, you'll probably do a Charlottesville, somewhere with elevation, over to Fredericksburg. But Delaware, you're in it. Maryland, too. You're done with that one by 7 a.m. Wednesday. The next one starts up same time. Kansas City really gets going winter storm warning. They're actually above average for the season so far. Chicago has only had 10 inches. They're 15 inches short of where they should be to date. But they're going to get their biggest of the season, and then we'll start frozen. But by Thursday morning, David, here, it's rain.
Yeah, what a mess there on the map for much of this country. Going to be tough going. Ginger, thank you. We'll see you first thing in the morning. Just moments ago at the White House, President Trump saying he will enforce a 25% tariff on steel and a new 25% tariff on aluminum coming into this country. Of course, meant to help American manufacturers of steel and aluminum right here. But what it could also do when it comes to the cost of construction and the prices on everything you pay, from cars to canned goods. Barry Bruce with the breaking news from the White House.
Tonight, President Donald Trump launching a new front in his trade war, pledging to enforce the existing 25% tariff on all steel imported into the U.S. and raising the tariff on aluminum to 25%.
It's 25% without exceptions or exemptions, and that's all countries, no matter where it comes from, all countries. If made in the United States, however, United States of America, there is no tariff, zero. So if it's made in the United States, there is no tariff. All you have to do is make it in the United States.
The move has the potential to help domestic manufacturers of steel and aluminum, but could raise costs for some businesses and ultimately American consumers. Experts warning packaged goods, construction materials, and cars could end up costing more. And other countries are likely to retaliate with their own tariffs on American goods. The president now promising if that happens, he'll just impose even more tariffs on them going forward.
Very simply, it's if they charge us, we charge them.
Trump's move on trade only one of the ways he's upending the international order in his first month in office. He's also doubling down on his plan for the U.S. to take over Gaza.
I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza.
But his administration still hasn't explained how. The White House says American taxpayers won't foot the bill, and Trump has promised no soldiers by the U.S. would be needed. And he's making it clear the Palestinian people would not have the right to return to their homeland.
Think of it as a real estate development for the future. It would be a beautiful piece of land.
Would the Palestinians have the right to return?
No, they wouldn't, because they're going to have much better housing, much better. In other words, I'm talking about building a permanent place for them.
So a permanent place elsewhere, doubling down on that in that interview with Fox News. I want to bring in our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, tonight. And Mary, you reported there the president, of course, doubling down on owning Gaza. We also know that Hamas is now saying it is suspending the release of more hostages. The president weighing in on this tonight at the White House.
David, just moments ago, President Trump saying that if Hamas doesn't release those remaining hostages by midday Saturday, then he thinks that ceasefire deal should be canceled, saying, quote, all bets are off, adding if they're not here, all hell is going to break out. David.
Mary Bruce at the White House. Mary, thank you. There's another developing headline involving President Trump at this hour, a judge extending his block on the president's effort to get millions of federal workers to resign, to take a buyout, or risk getting fired. Tonight, the vice president and Elon Musk are now openly questioning the authority of some of these judges. And now the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has been halted. Workers told to stay home. Protests outside today. The Bureau set up to protect Americans from banks becoming too big to fail and to protect against risky mortgages and other financial products after the banking collapse and Great Recession. So is the Bureau's work protecting consumers over? Here's our senior political correspondent, Rachel Scott, tonight.
Tonight in Washington, frustrated workers at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau demanding to be let in to do their jobs. After Elon Musk essentially shut down the agency, posting on X, CFPB, RIP. The Bureau, the government's consumer watchdog, created after the 2008 financial crisis and housing crash to protect American families from unfair and deceptive practices on everything from mortgages to credit cards to bank fees and student loans. But this morning, employees got an email from White House Budget Director Russell Vought saying they should not come into the office and instructing them, please do not perform work tasks.
You show up to work on Monday morning, excited to get started on the week. I had an agenda of things that I was ready to do to fight for American consumers, and to be told that I'm not supposed to do that is heartbreaking.
Like 2 million other federal workers, the people here face a stark choice. Take the government's buyout offer to get paid through September or risk getting laid off. April Goggins, who works for the Department of Health and Human Services, wrestled with that decision.
Yeah, I think the last 3 weeks have been a little bit like some psychological warfare. I mean, just getting tossed back and forth between, do I need to worry about moving? Am I going to lose my house? Do I need to worry about my job? And what can I and cannot do?
The deadline to accept that deal was extended to today. Now a federal judge has put it on hold yet again. But April tells me her decision is made.
No, I'm not resigning. I'm gonna hold the line. I'm not resigning. Why? First of all, you're not gonna bully me out of a job.
The judge's decision to put the buyout offer on hold, just one in a series of legal setbacks for the new administration. And on X, Musk lashing out at the judges, calling a New York judge who blocked his efforts to access Treasury data a corrupt judge protecting corruption, adding he needs to be impeached now. Vice President J.D. Vance taking it even further, posting if a judge tried to tell a general how to conduct a military operation, that would be illegal. Judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. The big question, will the administration openly defy the rulings of these courts? Tonight, one federal judge determined that may already be happening, finding the administration violated his order to fully lift its pause on federal funding, calling the pause likely unconstitutional, and adding that it continues to cause irreparable harm to a vast portion of this country.
David, Elon Musk and his team have already gained access into at least 15 federal agencies. He is the world's richest man. He already owns the social media platform X, SpaceX, as well as Tesla. And tonight reports that he's making a play to buy OpenAI, a leading artificial intelligence company, making a bid for $97.4 billion. The president launched an initiative with OpenAI, so this does raise questions about a possible conflict of interest and also concerns about the growing influence of Elon Musk, David.
Rachel Scott there at the White House as well. Rachel, thank you. We're also following a breaking story involving a deadly plane collision at an airport in Scottsdale, Arizona. At least one dead. Others have been transported to trauma centers tonight. This all involved a Learjet coming in for landing, veering off the runway in Scottsdale. Scottsdale, then colliding with another Gulfstream jet. Authorities say at least one person has died, multiple people now taken to that hospital, the airport issuing a ground stop there. We turn next tonight to two young American women visiting the Bahamas. They were attacked by a shark at a popular resort. Authorities say the young women were swimming together at Bimini Bay when they were attacked. One of the victims now in need of a third operation. Here's Victor Akendo.
Two young American tourists lucky to be alive tonight after sustaining serious injuries from a shark attack in the Bahamas. The women from Florida swimming in popular Bimini Bay around 6:30 Friday night when they were bitten in the leg, according to a Facebook post from the father of one of the girls. He says they jumped off the boat hand in hand and were swimming back to the ladder and were attacked by a shark, adding that he was doing his best to save their lives, people nearby rushing in to help to stop the bleeding, even tying tourniquets. They were airlifted to a nearby hospital in New Providence. Tonight, they're back in Florida. The mom of one of the girls telling ABC News she needs a third surgery to put her leg all together. Although rare, most shark attacks in the Caribbean occur in the Bahamas. Just last year, this 24-year-old on a fishing trip in the southern Bahamas was attacked by sharks when he fell into the water.
Next second, I'm in the water with, a lot of sharks. I knew immediately I got to get back in the boat or this is going to be really bad.
And in 2023, an American tourist was killed by a shark while paddleboarding near the popular Sandals Royal Bahamian Resort. And David, in that Facebook post, the father writing they were half an inch away from losing their daughter. Thankful this wasn't worse. David?
Victor Akendo on this tonight. Victor, thank you. Also tonight, the image just in here of the reporter who was sent to cover the Super Bowl, but who was found dead in his hotel room before the game even happened. Tonight, the Daily Mail with the last known images of him so far. A woman has been arrested in the case, and what they say happened. Here's our senior investigative correspondent, Aaron Petersky now.
These are the last known images of Adon Manzano showing the Telemundo sports reporter entering a Louisiana hotel at 3:46 a.m. last Wednesday. 12 hours later, he was found dead. The woman seen with him is Danette Colbert, who is now charged with using his credit card after he died. The surveillance images obtained by DailyMail.com. Tonight, police said they're working to determine whether Manzano was drugged before his death. They said Colbert has a history of drugging men.
Ms. Colbert has quite a record and rap sheet for confidence games. Ms. Colbert's criminal history does include 2 instances where she drugged a victim.
Since the 48-year-old's arrest, police said they've been contacted by people claiming to be her victims. Police have not said where they believe she met Manzano, but she is believed to be the last person to see him alive. The 27-year-old widowed father of a 2-year-old was in New Orleans to cover the Super Bowl.
And tonight, David, police say they're waiting on toxicology reports and other forensic evidence to determine if Manzano was drugged and whether Colbert should be charged with murder. David?
All right, Aaron Petersky reporting. Aaron, thank you. To the economy, and tonight, egg prices continuing to rise, and now the egg shortage here in the U.S. with bird flu spreading across this country. Trader Joe's, for one, now limiting how many eggs a customer can buy. There are reports others are doing the same. A line of cars around the block right here waiting to buy eggs. This is at a California farm. And thefts now being reported from Washington State to 100,000 eggs stolen in Pennsylvania. Here's our chief national correspondent, Matt Gubman.
Tonight, with the price of eggs skyrocketing from bird flu, shortages are growing from coast to coast. From empty shelves at this BJ's Wholesale outside New York City to Chino, California, where cars wrapped around city blocks outside a local farm. And many are flocking to local farmers markets. How much would you say demand has gone up?
Super high.
Times 2, times 3?
Times 5, probably.
Some chains like Costco and Trader Joe's are limiting the amount of eggs customers can buy, and at stores with eggs on the shelves, sticker shock.
It's like $10 a carton. I'm like, what?
Eggs are now so valuable they become a target for thieves. In Seattle, a surveillance camera captured suspects entering a shed behind Luna Park Cafe, where police say they stole more than 500 eggs. Pete and Jerry's Organics had to beef up security after thieves stole 100,000 eggs from their farm in Pennsylvania. Those suspects still at large. Bird flu has impacted tens of millions of farmed chickens, sending egg prices up 65% in the last year. The Waffle House chain is adding a 50-cent surcharge per egg. In Los Angeles, Cantor's Deli has been in business for over 100 years now.
So basically, just to explain this, you went from $5,000 a month a few years ago
to now at least $23,000 to $25,000 a month for eggs.
Yeah, for pretty much the same product, for the same amount of eggs.
And they are drowning under those costs. A business has been in business for 105 years, now can't break even.
Not just simply because of the eggs. That's enough to do it.
And David, the Department of Agriculture projects egg prices will increase again by about 20% this year, and we're told that it will be at least another 6 months before egg prices stabilize, David.
And really important to hear the real-world impact that you brought to us there tonight on all of this. Matt, thank you. When we come back, the fire and explosion at a plant outside Pittsburgh, reports of multiple injuries in the images, and then the disturbing pictures tonight. A father accused of storming the ice right here, knocking down 2 teenage referees, and what police are now saying about this tonight.
I want to thank you for the tremendous
Tonight, an explosion north of Pittsburgh, injuring more than a dozen workers at a chemical plant in Crawford County, Pennsylvania.
We set records, and I will not.
Authorities say at least 13 people were injured in the blast at the Parker Board facility. Residents told to shelter in place for several hours. Everyone is expected to survive this. Disturbing images during a youth hockey game in Seattle. Police say a father is accused of knocking down 2 teenage referees on the ice. The bottom of your screen right there, video shows him storming on the ice during a 12 and under game, shoving the 13 and 14-year-old referees. They were treated for minor injuries. Authorities are investigating whether to press charges for assault now. When we come back here tonight, the former Disney star shot in the face while target shooting. And right here tonight, we're one-on-one with Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts. To the Index tonight, actress Christy Carlson Romano says she was shot in the face while target shooting clay pigeons with her husband. The former Disney Channel star, best known for her roles Even Stevens and Kim Possible, showing her injuries, one just below her eye. She says another group fired in the wrong direction. When we come back here tonight, the Super Bowl MVP is right here tonight.
ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, sponsored by Pacific Life, creating financial security for nearly 160 years.
Finally tonight, Philly's new hero with our Will Reeve.
Tonight, the new Super Bowl champions.
Eagles fly in Super Bowl 59.
The Philadelphia Eagles soaring to victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. The Eagles defeating the back-to-back champions in a shocking 40-22 win.
He makes the throw of his life.
Eagles quarterback, 26-year-old Jalen Hurts, leading his team to victory.
I think this is about the time where it all hits you right here.
Hurts named MVP and breaking a Super Bowl record for rushing yards by a quarterback, which he set himself just 2 years ago. And less than 24 hours after winning the Super Bowl, we're with Jalen Hurts one-on-one as he celebrates at Walt Disney World, part of ABC's parent company.
At what point in the game did you allow yourself to think, I'm a Super Bowl champ?
Honestly, going into the locker room and seeing my teammates celebrating, that's when it hit.
Does it feel even better than you thought it would?
I don't even know how to put it into words. But I'm just a ton of gratitude, and I'm truly blessed.
So there are plenty of Eagles fans here celebrating Jalen Hurts at Walt Disney World. There will be many, many more at his next parade, the Eagles Super Bowl Victory Parade on Friday on Valentine's Day in the city of brotherly love, David.
Valentine's, no less. Thank you, Will. The full interview tomorrow morning on
End the
GM.
practice of catch and release.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.
Troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous.
Met Greet geef je meer dan een Valentijnskaart. Verras met jullie leukste foto's samen, lieve stickers of voeg een boodschap toe in je eigen handschrift. Bestel een grote kaart, nu voor maar €4.
Terrorist organization.
Tonight, as we come on the air, this new storm now, millions bracing from the Midwest right into the Northeast again. Treacherous driving expected when this hits. Also breaking the urgent search for a plane that vanished in bad weather. There are reports coming in right now that it's now been found. And just in tonight, the federal judge pausing with President Trump and Elon Musk are trying to do at USAID. First tonight, that plane vanishing in bad weather, the desperate search all day today, and just moments ago, now the reports coming in, it has been found. The runway had been shut down, the rapid drop in altitude, and what we know about this crash. This dangerous winter storm hitting again, moving right into the Midwest, then sweeping into the Northeast. The alert's up right now, heavy snow, ice, rain, Washington, D.C. to Philadelphia, New York to Boston, and there will be snow Lee Goldberg has the forecast. Just in tonight, a federal judge blocking President Trump and Elon Musk's plans at USAID for now. And the moment at the White House today when the president was asked about Elon Musk and this new image on Time magazine's cover. Musk behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office amid questions over Musk's true role. And the president was asked if Musk has been told if anything is off limits. How he answered. Tonight, the reporter covering the Super Bowl found dead in his hotel room, a woman now under arrest tonight. What authorities have now revealed, and the other cases involving sports stars and those high-profile burglaries. Tonight, the images of suspects posing with quarterback Joe Burrow's stolen watches and jewelry. In New York City tonight, the new concern over bird flu. New York's governor now shutting down live poultry markets in the Bronx, in Brooklyn, in Queens, amid concerns from California to Nevada to New York, what they're seeing. Tonight, outside Philadelphia, the alarming video showing a commuter train engulfed in flames. Passengers say the train passed by multiple stops while on fire. The medical breakthrough, the kidney transplant from a pig to a human, saving a 66-year-old patient, what we've learned. And the Super Bowl rematch, the Chiefs versus the Eagles. Will Reeve flies us over the Superdome tonight. The teams are ready, the fans are ready. And Travis Kelce's mom used to wear that split jersey, but Jason Kelce has retired, so is there still any Eagles love? And Philadelphia looking to keep the Chiefs from making history.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. We do have several breaking headlines as we come on tonight. Of course, we're tracking this major winter storm moving in again, but we begin tonight with that mystery disappearance of a passenger plane in Alaska. We have just learned there are reports now it's just been found. The plane had vanished with 10 people on board, the third major aviation incident in 9 days. These are the images coming in at this hour just moments ago. The Coast Guard finding the plane 34 miles southeast of Nome. At least 3 bodies have been found inside the wreckage so far. The FAA tonight saying the plane operated by Bering Air was flying over the Bering Sea on its way to Nome. Flight data showing a steep drop in altitude before all contact was suddenly lost. The Coast Guard searching Norton Sound, the flight about 12 miles from shore when it vanished. The plane flying in low visibility snow and gusting winds. ABC's Trevor Ault leads us off on the breaking news.
Tonight, that tragic discovery. The Coast Guard says they found the wreckage of a plane that vanished over the open water in Alaska. They believe all 10 people on board are dead. Authorities releasing this image of the mangled plane on the sea ice. The Coast Guard saying it was spotted overhead by helicopter. The Bering Air single-engine Cessna took off from Unalakleet shortly after 2:30 Thursday afternoon, headed for Nome. But about 40 minutes into the flight, the plane disappearing from radar over the Norton Sound, about 12 miles from shore.
Low altitude alert, Bering Air 445. Check your altitude immediately.
Seconds later,
Bering Air 445, anchorage center, radar contact lost.
This aircraft experienced some kind of event which caused them to experience a rapid loss in elevation and a rapid loss in speed.
This time-lapse video from hours after the plane vanished shows snowy conditions at the Nome airport where the plane was headed. ATC telling the pilot the runway was temporarily closed as the plane approached.
One of the things that the NTSB will look at, was there a problem? Did the aircraft ice up, and did that lead to a loss of control?
It's the third major aviation incident in just over a week. Last Wednesday, 67 people killed in that mid-air crash between an Army helicopter and an American Airlines plane in Washington, D.C. In the last 24 hours, crews lifting the Black Hawk out of the river amid reports a key safety system was turned off before the collision. And last Friday, a medical transport jet crashing in Philadelphia, killing 7 people in all. Voice recorder found 8 feet deep inside that crater.
And David, back to that Alaskan plane crash. We have now heard from the Coast Guard that this was located 34 miles southeast of Nome, its intended destination. You see all the snow and ice there. While this investigation is still ongoing, FAA data does show this aircraft has a history of icing problems, David.
Yeah, just a horrific scene there and an unsettling week and a half for sure in aviation. Trevor Ault leading us off here on the breaking news. Thank you. We turn out of this major cross-country storm from the Midwest, then pushing right into the Northeast again. Heavy snow, ice, rain across multiple states. There there are alerts up right now. In fact, New York City under a winter weather advisory, the system taking aim at the Northeast. By nightfall tomorrow, one storm after another this week, cars spinning out on highways from Northern California clear across the country to Massachusetts. Treacherous driving across multiple states right into the east again this weekend. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg from WABC, timing this out again for us. Hi, Lee.
Hey, David, we're about 24 hours from First Flakes here in New York City. We have winter weather alerts from the northern Rockies all the way into the Northeast. Tonight, it's the upper Midwest, maybe a few inches of snow in Minneapolis. By the time we get into tomorrow, it's the Great Lakes with some snow and a wintry mix from the Ohio Valley and the Mid-Atlantic. And then as we approach nightfall, it's along the I-95 corridor. We've got some heavy snow, the brunt of it tomorrow night, across the Hudson Valley of New York into parts of New England. Those are the areas with the highest snow totals, 6 inches or more from places like Albany to Portland, even into the Boston area. Here in New York, we're going to get a few inches of snow. And then there's the ice storm across Pennsylvania, maybe a quarter inch of ice along I-76. There's an ice storm warning near Johnstown. We get rid of this storm, more storming this Tuesday through Thursday. David?
We'll likely see you next week then, Lee. Thank you. Also breaking tonight, just a short time ago, we learned that a federal judge has now stepped in, blocking the Trump administration's plan to put hundreds of USAID workers on leave. At the White House today, President Trump defending Elon Musk's role in his administration. The president was asked about the new cover of Time magazine with an image of Musk sitting behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office. How he responded when asked if Musk has been told if anything is off limits. And late today, President Trump's move involving former President Biden's security clearance. Rachel Scott at the White House tonight.
Even as the signs outside the USAID's office came down, tonight a federal judge putting the brakes on the White House's plan to put more than 2,000 of the relief agency's workers on leave. It comes as Elon Musk and his team gutted the agency, which has provided desperately needed food and medicine to some 32 million children around the world. Tonight, President Trump pressed to explain the limits of Musk's power as the world's richest man extends his reach across the federal government. The new Time magazine cover showing Musk behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office.
Mr. President, do you have a reaction to the new Time magazine cover that has Elon Musk sitting behind your Resolute desk?
Is Time magazine still in business? I didn't even know that.
A much different tone from when Time recently named him Person of the Year.
It's been an honor, and every time it's an honor, I will tell you it.
Musk's team has already gained access to at least 10 federal agencies. 2 million federal workers already receiving emails like this one. The subject line, fork in the road, the same one he used when he was slashing the workforce at Twitter. The offer, resign now and be paid through September or run the risk of being laid off. Across the country from Wisconsin to Nevada to Washington, protests popping up. Signs like this reading, let's send Elon to Mars. But tonight the president saying he wants Musk to go even further, instructing him to tackle the Pentagon's sprawling bureaucracy, though companies Musk owns have had $5.6 billion in contracts with the agency.
Is there anything you've told Elon Musk he cannot touch?
Well, we haven't discussed that much. I'll tell him to go here, go there. He does it. He's got a very capable group of people. There could be areas that we won't, but I think everything's fertile. You know, we're a government. We have to be open. And as an open government, I don't know, I guess you could say maybe some high intelligence or something. And I'll do that myself if I have to. But generally speaking, I'll just say go. But he will be looking at education pretty quickly, and he will be looking at military too.
And tonight, the president asked about a young engineer on Musk's team. The Wall Street Journal reporting he resigned because of racist online posts the paper uncovered, including, quote, "I was racist before it was cool. You cannot pay me to marry outside my ethnicity and normalize Indian hate." Vice President J.D. Vance writing on X, "I obviously disagree with some of his posts, but I don't think stupid social media activity should ruin a kid's life. So I say bring him back."
The vice president says, bring him back. What do you say?
Well, I don't know about the particular thing, but if the vice president said that, did you say that? I'm with the vice president.
And tonight, Musk posting, he will be brought back. To err is human, to forgive divine. In an extended news conference alongside the Prime Minister of Japan, the president also asked today about whether he plans to fire the FBI agents who worked on cases of those who rioted on January 6th.
Are you planning to
to fire the FBI agents who worked on those investigations?
No, but I'll fire some of them because some of them were corrupt. I have no doubt about that. I got to know a lot about that business, that world. I got to know a lot about that world, and we had some corrupt agents, and those people are gone, or they will be gone, and it'll be done quickly and very surgically.
And this just in, moments ago, President Donald Trump posting on social media that he is revoking the security clearance of former President Joe Biden, saying that he will no longer receive intelligence briefings, cutting off any access to classified information. In that statement, he says that the former president cannot be trusted, David.
Rachel Scott at the White House. Rachel, thanks. Tonight, a reporter covering the Super Bowl has been found dead in his hotel room. Authorities say a woman is now under arrest, and what authorities say they discovered. Also tonight, there's news in other cases involving those sports stars, those high-profile burglaries. Tonight, the images right here of suspects seen posing with quarterback Joe Burrow's stolen watches and jewelry. Here's our investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, a sports reporter covering the Super Bowl is dead, and a woman with an alleged history of drugging men is under arrest. Officials accusing Danette Colbert of using the credit card of a Don Manzano after he was found dead in his hotel room. The 27-year-old had traveled to New Orleans to cover the Super Bowl for a Kansas City Telemundo affiliate.
Ms. Colbert has quite a record and rap sheet for confidence games. Ms. Colbert's criminal history does include 2 instances where she drugged a victim.
Police say Colbert and Manzano were seen entering his room at this hotel around 4:30 Wednesday morning. She left about 90 minutes later and never returned.
You asked if this was a homicide. I don't know where it's going to end up. Like I said, we're going to let the evidence lead us to the end result and not speculate.
Telemundo releasing this image of Manzano, calling his death tragic, and adding Manzano was a true professional and a rising star who exemplified excellence in his work. This year's Super Bowl follows a rash of burglaries targeting the homes of several pro football players, including Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow. He was robbed in December while playing Monday Night Football in Dallas.
Where are you going right now?
The FBI now saying the men seen inside this vehicle are also captured in this photo, posing with some of the items stolen from Burrow's home, including designer luggage, wristwatches, even custom jewelry depicting Burrow's initials and jersey number. Investigators say they also found this picture of Burrow's Cincinnati house on the phone of one of the suspects. And tonight, David, the FBI is announcing a crackdown on South American theft groups that they say have been targeting the athletes and other wealthy homeowners across the country. Some of what's been stolen is turned up in Chile and in China, and the FBI says it found more of the loot at a pawn shop right here in New York City. David?
Eric Katursky with us again tonight. Aaron, thank you. Also here in New York City tonight, the new concern over bird flu. New York's governor shutting down live poultry markets in the Bronx and Brooklyn and Queens amid growing worries from California to Nevada to New York. What they're now seeing with bird flu. And here's Stephanie Ramos.
In a move to stop the spread of bird flu, the governor of New York today ordering the shutdown of all live poultry markets across New York City, Long Island, and Westchester County for disinfection after inspections detected 7 cases at markets in the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Queens.
There is no immediate public health threat. We have been vigilant and will remain vigilant so New Yorkers can go about their lives with peace of mind.
In just the last month, 22 million poultry have been impacted by bird flu across the country, including 100,000 ducks euthanized on this Long Island farm. Parks from New York to Boston have also closed to the public after the virus killed wild birds.
To have 10 or 12 dead geese is something wrong.
There still has been no human-to-human spread of bird flu. 67 people have been infected in the U.S., and most had direct contact with sick animals. But scientists are closely tracking the spread after a different strain was just confirmed in Nevada dairy cattle. It's the same strain found in an older man from Louisiana, the only American who has died from bird flu.
This is the fear of anybody in public health. When you have a virus that's spreading rapidly in animal populations, it increases the chances for mutations and increases that chance of this virus moving into a place where it is human-to-human transmissible.
David, there are about 80 live poultry markets like the one behind me impacted by this temporary shutdown. New York State hasn't had any confirmed human cases of bird flu, but The governor says they're taking action to stop the spread of this virus. David.
A lot of concern over this. Stephanie Ramos with us tonight. Steph, thank you. To the economy tonight, and news on American jobs. The U.S. adding 143,000 jobs last month. That was lower than expected. Unemployment ticking down to 4%. The Dow dropping 444 points on the news today, and on concerns over inflation and tariffs, closing at 44,303. When we come back here tonight, declassifying documents connected to the JFK assassination, the key deadline tonight. Also, the seasonal flu reaching very high numbers, what authorities are seeing. And these images tonight, the video showing a commuter train engulfed in flames near Philadelphia. Passengers say the train passed multiple stops while on fire. Tonight, the NTSB is on the scene outside Philadelphia after a commuter train caught fire. About 350 people were on board, all safely evacuated. But passengers say the train passed 9 stops before they were told they could get off. Passengers reported smelling smoke shortly after the train left the station in Philadelphia last night. Tonight, doctors in Massachusetts have successfully transplanted a genetically edited pig kidney into a human patient. This is the second such operation in less than a year. The 66-year-old patient who had been suffering from end-stage kidney disease released from the hospital days ago now. Doctors say the new kidney is functioning well as expected. The patient saying this provides hope for those who have kidney disease. When we come back here tonight, more than 60 years after the JFK assassination, the key deadline tonight. Also, the flu in this country, the very high numbers, what they're seeing. And we fly you over the Superdome tonight with the Super Bowl almost here.
We will be a nation
to the index,
like
and
no
tonight
other,
the
full of
CDC reporting this year's
compassion,
flu
courage,
season is now the
and
most
exceptionalism.
intense in 15
Our
years.
power will
More than 31
stop
states
wars
listed as
and
seeing
bring a
very
new
high or
spirit of
high
unity
cases of the
to a
flu.
world that
For the
has
first
been
time since the
angry,
start of the
violent, and
pandemic, the
totally
rate of people dying from the
unpredictable.
flu is now the same as those who are dying from COVID, which of course is still a concern. Now to the classified documents in the JFK assassination, officials sending a release plan now to the White House as ordered. They've been given a deadline of today set by President Trump. It's still not clear when the thousands of files, which have long been sought by researchers, will be made public. When we come back tonight, the Super Bowl rematch will fly you right over to the Superdome in a moment, and the very funny moment involving the family very recently rooting for both teams, but not anymore. Finally tonight here, the Super Bowl rematch, the Chiefs versus the Eagles. The teams are ready, the fans are ready, so is the Kelsey family. But will there be that famous two-sided jersey this year? Our Will Reed in New Orleans.
Tonight, the countdown's on. Under 48 hours to go until Super Bowl 59. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles in New Orleans. A rematch of the big game 2 years ago. The Chiefs winning in a thriller, then again last year, now on the verge of making history with an unprecedented third straight Super Bowl title.
All of these guys on our team, we love the game. We go out there and leave everything we have on the football field.
Chiefs superstar quarterback Patrick Mahomes is already a 3-time Super Bowl champ and 3-time Super Bowl MVP. He's facing off against Eagles quarterback 26-year-old Jalen Hurts.
We worked very hard for this moment and to be the last man standing.
Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce is one win away from his 4th Super Bowl ring. His girlfriend Taylor Swift front and center the past 2 seasons, expected to cheer him on in New Orleans alongside Mama Kelce, Donna, who 2 years ago wore a custom jersey supporting Travis and his older brother, then Eagles center Jason.
I mean, I would hope she didn't have the split jersey this time. I think she'll be wearing red.
They not like us. They not like us.
And for those who just watched the big game for the halftime show, prepare for Kendrick Lamar, the superstar 22-time Grammy winner set to take center stage 1 week after winning 5 Grammys, becoming the first solo hip-hop artist ever to headline a Super Bowl halftime show, and securing New Orleans a major focal point. The Air and Marine Division of Customs and Border Protection giving me a bird's-eye view of the city, showing off their air support capabilities.
You can see the preparations already underway, plenty going on down on the ground, but here high in the sky, this is all about keeping the city safe.
During every single day of the Trump administration.
And David, the tickets for the game are sold out at the Superdome, about 76,000 seats, but you can still snag them on the resale market. The cheapest ticket right now, a little under $3,500. That's significantly lower than last year, David.
All right. Well, we spent all our money on your ticket, Will, so enjoy the game. You always get the best assignments, and we'll see you right back here on Monday. Good night.
The scales of justice will
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.
Weaponization of the Justice Department and our government.
Tonight, several developing stories as we come on the air. The powerful winter storm bringing heavy snow and ice from the upper Midwest to the Northeast. The escalating legal fight over Elon Musk's plans to cut federal agencies. And the big game in the Big Easy. Security on high alert ahead of the Super Bowl. First, those dangerous winter storms moving in right now. 90 million Americans from Wisconsin to Maine under winter weather alerts this weekend. Heavy snow, sleet, and ice in the forecast. Much of the region still digging out from earlier storms. Road crews loading up with salt, with sleet and freezing rain expected in Baltimore, and up to 8 inches of snow in Boston. Our weather team is timing it out. The legal battle heating up over the reshaping of the federal government. A judge temporarily blocking DOJ's access to Treasury Department payment systems. 19 states now suing to keep Elon Musk's team out of personal data, including Social Security and bank numbers for millions of Americans. Plus, the National Institutes of Health slashing billions in funding, leaving medical researchers scrambling to save critical studies. Also tonight, Super Bowl security. It's even tighter than usual, with President Trump now planning to attend the big game in New Orleans. Thousands of officers on duty, barricades throughout Bourbon Street, helicopters and drones overhead. All of this just weeks after the deadly New Year's truck attack. 3 more Israeli hostages released in exchange for more than 180 Palestinian prisoners. The Israelis appearing thin and frail after 16 months in captivity, raising new concerns about whether the Gaza ceasefire will hold. The race to recover plane crash victims in Alaska. The plane suddenly disappearing from radar and crashing onto sea ice. What we're now learning about the investigation. The altercation on a highway overpass. A group dressed in black hanging Nazi flags confronted by neighborhood residents. New fears that the bird flu outbreak may be expanding. More than a dozen birds found dead in 2 New York City zoos. And behind the scenes at the Super Bowl, from the fans to the commercials, and what Kendrick Lamar is revealing about his halftime show.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday. I'm Whit Johnson, and we begin with that dangerous winter storm moving in right now. The latest in a parade of storms blasting the Northeast with heavy snow, sleet, and ice. More than 90 million Americans from Wisconsin to Maine are under winter weather alerts. New York City bracing for 3 to 5 inches of snow. Salt trucks and snow plows gearing up for what could be a very busy weekend. In Minnesota, that storm system slamming the Twin Cities. Heavy snow creating blizzard-like conditions and making roads nearly impassable. Multiple crashes reported. The system also dumping more than 10 inches in parts of South Dakota. Snow showers in the Northeast could linger until early Sunday morning as the region is still digging out from previous storms. Meteorologist Samara Theodore leads us off tonight.
Tonight, a fast-moving winter storm slamming the Northeast, bringing heavy snow, sleet, and ice. Parts of the region still digging out from the previous blast. More than 90 million Americans under winter weather alerts as treacherous conditions sweep across the region. The system already dumping over 10 inches of snow in parts of South Dakota. This morning, snow hitting Minneapolis, Duluth, and Green Bay up to 6 inches. In the Northeast, D.C. and Baltimore seeing snow turning to freezing rain. New York City bracing for 3 to 5 inches before a rain-snow mix overnight.
As always, our men and women of DSNY will be out doing 12-hour shifts. Thousands of sanitation workers will be out to remove the snow and do what they do best.
The wall of snow arrives here, and this is when things start to pick up in intensity.
Boston expecting up to 8 inches before the storm moves out Sunday.
So let's get right to Samara Theodore. Samara, time out this storm for us tonight, and more threats on the way next week.
That's correct, Whit. In fact, the radar is filling in now, and we're just starting to see the storm system ramp up for the Northeast. As we continue to time this out, by about 9 p.m. tonight, this really impacts places like New York City, Philadelphia, bringing them some ice. And then as we move through the overnight hours, closer to midnight, That's when we start to see Boston, Hartford, New England get the worst of this. By 7 a.m. tomorrow, this starts to taper off, and by lunchtime, it's moving out. The good news is we'll start to see things quiet down just ahead of the Super Bowl tomorrow evening. As far as totals go, some of the highest totals will be in New England. Boston could see as much as 8+ inches of snow, and there is a potential for up to a 1/4 inch of ice throughout the mid-Atlantic. We're also tracking the potential for another storm as we head through the top of the week.
Yeah, difficult week ahead. Samara Theodore, thank you. Now to a federal judge temporarily blocking DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, from accessing the Treasury Department's payment systems. This after 19 states filed a lawsuit accusing the Elon Musk agency of overstepping its authority. Protests across the country over cuts to the federal government. Here's ABC's senior White House correspondent, Selena Wang.
Tonight, legal battles escalating as President Trump and Elon Musk attempt to overhaul the federal government. A federal judge blocking Musk's Department of Government Efficiency team from accessing the Treasury Department's data and payment systems after 19 states sued the Trump administration for giving Musk and his allies virtually unfettered access to sensitive personal data, including social security numbers and bank account information of millions of Americans. The lawsuit argues the expanded access poses huge cybersecurity risks and accuses Musk of attempting to block federal funds from reaching beneficiaries who do not align with the president's political agenda. The judge putting the move on pause, citing an increased risk of leaks and hacking. The world's richest man expanding his reach, gaining access to at least 10 federal agencies as he tries to slash government spending. The key target so far, USAID, the relief agency that provides food to millions of malnourished children around the world. And another federal judge putting the brakes on Musk's plan to dismantle the agency and pull thousands of staffers off the job. The president defending Musk's role.
I'll tell him to go here, go there. He does it. He's got a very capable group of people.
One of those people, a young former SpaceX employee named Marco Velez, who resigned this week after a Wall Street Journal report linked him to a series of racist posts on social media, including, "I was racist before it was cool. You cannot pay me to marry outside my ethnicity," and normalize Indian hate. Vice President J.D. Vance defending the staffer, writing, "I obviously disagree with some of Velez's posts, but I don't think stupid social media activity should ruin a kid's life, so I say bring him back." Musk responding, he will be brought back to err as human, to forgive divine.
Selena Wang joins us now from the White House. And Selena, President Trump and Musk have been making these moves at breakneck speed. So what's next on their agenda?
Well, President Trump says he wants Elon Musk to go even further in his cost cutting, saying that he'll be looking at the Department of Education and the Pentagon next. But this raises potential conflicts of interest because Elon Musk's own companies have billions of dollars in contracts with the military. Whit?
Selena, thank you. Next tonight, the Trump administration is cutting billions of dollars in biomedical research funding. It's expected to impact about 2,500 universities, medical schools, and research institutions across the country. NIH officials say the move would save more than $4 billion a year, but some researchers are calling it catastrophic. And tune into This Week tomorrow morning. Martha Raddatz speaks with Senator Chris Murphy about how Democrats are pushing back against the Trump administration's moves to reshape the federal government. Now to Super Bowl 59, the big game and the Big Easy just one day away now. Law enforcement on high alert across the city of New Orleans. Thousands of officers from multiple agencies, with President Trump's expected attendance adding another layer of security. ABC's Morgan Norwood reports from New Orleans tonight.
Tonight, with the big game kicking off in the Big Easy tomorrow, security on high alert.
You'll see more and more restriction as more tourists come into town to enjoy our fabulous city.
An estimated 125,000 people expected to visit New Orleans this weekend for the biggest sporting event of the year, the Super Bowl.
You can't pass a block that there aren't officers or something, and that is a good thing.
Security for the game is normally high, but this year, even more elevated with the expected historic attendance of President Donald Trump and in the wake of that deadly New Year's Day terror attack in the French Quarter, leaving 14 victims dead and dozens more injured. Authorities say preparations for the Super Bowl began at least a year ago, This weekend, more than 2,700 law enforcement officers on the ground, including 16 additional tactical teams.
Everybody brought a little bit more to the table so we can make sure this is the most safe and secure Super Bowl ever.
More drones, increased coordination, and more personnel. Much of it concentrated in the busy French Quarter, including here on Bourbon Street.
Bourbon Street is under an enhanced security zone. These thick military-grade bollards boxing out street traffic and federal, state, and local law enforcement patrolling the French Quarter.
And also in the skies, Customs and Border Protection giving ABC News Will Reed a look from above. Their helicopters will be on patrol all weekend.
If something were to happen, we would be up and ready to go and respond as quickly as possible.
So you are truly the eye in the sky.
That is the case, yes.
Under the orders
With us, right, authorities aren't taking any chances here. Kansas City, they are ramping up security, especially in the wake of last year's deadly shooting following a Super Bowl victory parade. Then there's Philadelphia. They're also on high alert and urging fans there to celebrate safely.
All right, Morgan, thank you. Overseas now, and Hamas releasing 3 more hostages as part of that ceasefire deal. The condition of those hostages, though, after months in captivity, 487 days, sparking international alarm. 183 Palestinians also freed from Israeli jails. Let's bring in ABC's Britt Clennett in Tel Aviv. And Britt, new questions now about whether this ceasefire can hold.
That's right, Whit. Tonight, the condition of the 3 Israeli hostages, Ohad Ben-Ami, Eli Sharabi, and Or Levy, looking gaunt as they were handed over from Hamas to the Red Cross, sparking shock and anger over here. Prime Minister Netanyahu vowing a response, saying it's proof of the need to eliminate Hamas. Now, Israel did still release over 180 Palestinian prisoners to uphold their part of the deal. But as Netanyahu returns from an official week-long visit to D.C. to outrage from the hostage families and parts of the Israeli public, who say he should prioritize getting all of the 76 hostages home without delay and without revenge. Remember, there are 6 Americans among those held in Gaza. Fears now that the ceasefire could break down even before Phase 2 has begun, with President Trump's bombshell proposal to remove all Palestinians from Gaza adding more chaos to the equation here, Whit.
Britt Clennett for us tonight. Thank you. Back here in the U.S., in that deadly commuter plane crash in western Alaska, rescuers rushing to recover the victims. 9 passengers and 1 pilot before severe weather moves in. And tonight, what investigators are now revealing. Here's ABC's Jacqueline Lee.
Tonight, officials confirming all 10 people on board the Bering airplane that vanished over open water in Alaska are dead. The Coast Guard discovering the wreckage on sea ice Friday afternoon, 34 miles southeast of Nome, working around the clock to recover the bodies inside.
We do have a short window where we have weather, bad weather coming in, some snow, and please understand that some difficult conditions because this is on an ice floe, which is moving about 5 miles a day.
And tonight, loved ones identifying several of the victims. Roan Baumgartner and Cameron Hardvickson were traveling to Unalakleet to service a heat recovery system that is critical to the community's water plant, according to the Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium. Alaska State Troopers reported 9 passengers and the pilot went missing Thursday afternoon, shortly after taking off around 2:30 p.m., traveling from Unalakleet to Nome. Officials losing contact with the single-engine Cessna less than an hour after takeoff.
Low altitude alert, Bering Air 445. Check your altitude immediately.
Agencies, including the NTSB, Coast Guard, and Alaska State Troopers, using all resources to investigate why this crash happened. Flying is a crucial mode of transportation in Alaska. Most communities are cut off from main roads connecting to the larger cities.
When authorities say their priority tonight is recovering the bodies of the victims and then the remnants of the aircraft. The NTSB is leading the investigation into the cause of the crash.
Jacqueline Lee, thanks so much. Next tonight, a disturbing scene in an Ohio suburb. A hate group dressed in all black and some waving Nazi flags gathering on an overpass in the Cincinnati area. They were confronted by residents of a historically black community. Here's ABC's Perry Russell.
Tonight, the clash above a highway near Cincinnati, Ohio. Neighbors confronting neo-Nazis dressed in black, waving swastika flags on an overpass north of the city.
In this neighborhood, we do stand for something. This here turf is golden soil, and it won't be tarnished with things like that.
At least one neo-Nazi seen holding a long gun. Police shutting down the overpass, trying to keep everyone apart. The neo-Nazis taking off in a U-Haul. One person seen running down the road, throwing something against the side of the truck. A swastika flag ripped away and set on fire. A minister from a nearby Baptist church holding a prayer service, calming tensions.
People are afraid, they're scared, they're angry.
These neo-Nazis were wearing similar clothes and face coverings to the neo-Nazis who marched through downtown Columbus, Ohio in November. Black community leaders later making the same march as a counter-protest. Tonight, the mayor of Cincinnati says messages of hate have no place in the region, writing, "This is not what we stand for, and it will never be what we stand for."
And there was concern on the ground that police were letting this protest happen. Police say while the protest was offensive, it was not illegal. Whit?
Perry Russum, thank you. There's still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Saturday. Details coming in on a major earthquake in the Caribbean and the new discovery that's fueling concerns that the bird flu outbreak may be expanding. We have breaking news now from the Caribbean. A massive earthquake has struck southwest of the Cayman Islands. Preliminary figures say it measured 7.6 magnitude. No word of damage, but a tsunami advisory has been issued for Puerto Rico and U.S. Virgin Islands. Growing concerns tonight that the bird flu outbreak may be expanding. Here in New York, more than a dozen ducks and wild birds have died at 2 zoos, all believed to be from the virus. This comes after New York Governor Kathy Hochul ordered all live poultry markets in the city and immediate suburbs to be closed and cleaned after 7 cases were found during inspections. Meanwhile, police in Seattle are investigating an egg robbery. More than 500 eggs stolen from a cafe this week. The bird flu has decimated chicken flocks and sent egg prices soaring nationwide. When we come back, remembering actor Tony Roberts, best known for playing opposite Woody Allen in several films. A passing to note tonight, actor Tony Roberts has died. He was a mainstay on Broadway, nominated twice for Tony Awards, but he was best known for his work with Woody Allen, appearing in 6 movies together. Roberts, tall and confident, was the perfect foil for the neurotic characters played by Allen. Roberts' death from lung cancer, first reported by the New York Times. He was 85 years old. And a big surprise at the Critics' Choice Awards, Anora won Best Picture. The independent film is about an exotic dancer's romance with a Russian heir and was completely shut out at the Golden Globes last month. Anora and its star, Mickey Madison, are nominated for Oscars. And of course, you can watch the 97th Academy Awards on March 2nd, right here on ABC. When we come back from the commercials to the halftime show, what to watch for at the Super Bowl. Finally tonight, anticipation building for Super Bowl 59, from behind the scenes to what we can expect tomorrow night.
Excited Eagles and Chiefs fans descending on New Orleans for Super Bowl 59. More than 70,000 expected to see it in person at Caesars Superdome, while an estimated nearly 120 million people will watch the big game on TV, consistently the most watched program in America every year. And the game isn't the only attraction.
Who eats art?
50 different brands forking over $8 million for just one 30-second commercial, more than twice what it cost in 2014. Budweiser bringing back the Clydesdales.
I can't believe they let us back in this place.
Why?
Hello?
Nobody remembers that.
An iconic movie moment recreated.
Here we go.
I'll have what she's having.
Some ads this year going all in on nostalgia and celebrities.
This year, we got a halftime show presented by an apple in a stadium named after
a salad.
I love them.
Read the sign, Bunny.
You're gonna get us kicked out.
So?
That's better.
Grammy-winning rapper Kendrick Lamar headlining this year's halftime show, sharing a preview of his performance.
This is me, Kendrick Lamar, 37 years old, and
I still feel like I'm elevating. I'm still on the journey, though. You know, I want that energy to, ooze out into the television and to the people that's in that building.
And in New Orleans tonight, those diehard fans eager for tomorrow's kickoff.
If you're going to ever be at a Super Bowl, this is the one to be at.
Kansas City, Missouri, represent. Go team.
Go Eagles. Go Birds, baby.
They're all fired up, and so are we. Hope you enjoyed the game. Thanks so much for watching tonight. I'm Wade Johnson. Have a good night.
David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, the most watched newscast in America, and honored with the Emmy Award, winner for Outstanding Live News Program.
Thank you. Challenge judicial rulings against the administration. One judge blocked any access to Treasury Department records by Elon Musk. Another warns that the Trump administration hasn't fully complied to unfreezing government aid funding. All of this as the deadline for the president's plan to buy out millions of federal workers is just hours away. Plus,
What if the IDF stays in Geneva?
Despite a ceasefire deal in Gaza, war rages on in the West Bank. As Palestinians hope to return to their homes, Israel's far right says they want that land once and for all. And it is Victory Monday for those Philadelphia Eagles who soared to the franchise's second ever Super Bowl win.
For the second time, the Vince Lombardi Trophy is headed to Philadelphia. Eagles fly in Super Bowl 59.
Eagles fans storming the streets of Philadelphia in celebration. Quarterback Jalen Hurts taking a victory lap in Disney World. The night also explosive for halftime performer Kendrick Lamar, who had a history-making performance with messages for America and another artist.
I want to perform their favorite song, but you know they love the suit.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is Prime with Lindsay Davis.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We're following those stories and much more. But first, we do begin with President Trump's latest executive order saying he will enforce a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum imports aimed at helping American manufacturers. The latest tariffs come as the fallout continues to unravel over the Trump administration's bid to drastically shake up the federal government. The latest workers targeted from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau protested today. That's a consumer watchdog group aimed at protecting Americans from unfair and deceptive practices, everything from mortgages to credit cards. Meanwhile, a federal judge in Boston says that he will continue to block President Trump's buyout offer of federal workers until he issues a ruling. Tens of thousands of federal employees faced a midnight deadline tonight to either resign with pay or risk being fired. And another legal blow for the administration today. A federal judge in Rhode Island declared the White House failed to comply with a court order to unfreeze federal spending and ordered the Trump administration to release all the money. ABC senior political correspondent Rachel Scott leads us off.
Tonight in Washington, frustrated workers at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau demanding to be let in to do their jobs after Elon Musk essentially shut down the agency, posting on X, CFPB, RIP. The Bureau, the government's consumer watchdog, created after the 2008 financial crisis and housing crash to protect American families from unfair and deceptive practices on everything from mortgages to credit cards to bank fees and student loans. But this morning, employees got an email from White House Budget Director Russell Vought saying they should not come into the office and instructing them, please do not perform work tasks.
You show up to work on Monday morning, excited to get started on the week. I had an agenda of things that I was ready to do to fight for American consumers. And to be told that I'm not supposed to do that is heartbreaking.
Like 2 million other federal workers, the people here face a stark choice. Take the government's buyout offer to get paid through September or risk getting laid off. April Goggins, who works for the Department of Health and Human Services, wrestled with that decision.
I think the last 3 weeks have been a little bit like some psychological warfare. I mean, just getting tossed back and forth between, do I need to worry about moving? Am I going to lose my house? Do I need to worry about my job? And what can I and cannot do?
The deadline to accept that deal was extended to today. Now a federal judge has put it on hold yet again. But April tells me her decision is made.
No, I'm not resigning. I'm gonna hold the line. I'm not resigning. Why? First of all, you're not gonna bully me out of a job.
The judge's decision to put the buyout offer on hold, just one in a series of legal setbacks for the new administration. And on X, Musk lashing out at the judges, calling a New York judge who blocked his efforts to access Treasury data a corrupt judge protecting corruption, adding he needs to be impeached now. Vice President J.D. Vance taking it even further, posting, if a judge tried to tell a general how to conduct a military operation, that would be illegal. Judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. The big question, will the administration openly defy the rulings of these courts? Tonight, one federal judge determined that's already happening, finding the administration violated his order to fully lift its pause on federal funding, calling the pause likely unconstitutional, and adding that it continues to cause irreparable harm to a vast portion of this country.
A lot of people's livelihoods at stake here. Rachel Scott joins us now also from the White House. Rachel, how are administration officials reacting to some of these court rulings?
Well, we just heard from President Trump just moments ago. He calls this buyout offer very generous. He's also encouraging federal employees to take advantage of this. The spin from the administration has been to just push this as sort of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. They have long said that this gives people more of a chance to sign up and move forward with this plan, but it's obviously still making its way through the courts. Meanwhile, you have these federal government workers who are on edge, even those who want to take advantage of this, uncertain of whether or not this is going to actually play out, Lindsay.
So much uncertainty. Rachel Scott for us. Thanks so much, Rachel.
For our rights.
Joining us now is Democracy Forward President and CEO Sky Perryman. Thank you so much for joining us. Democracy Forward filed suit less than a week ago on behalf of federal workers, saying public service on behalf of the American people is not something to be bought and sold. What do you make of the judge's decision today to extend the pause on the administration's buyout offer?
They laid down the railroads.
You know, I think the court sees this as we do, which is something that really needs careful consideration by the court because of the way in which the administration is operating. We, of course, allege that the administration is operating unlawfully, that there are not funds appropriated from Congress for this quote-unquote buyout, that it's not clear what authority they are operating pursuant to, and I think the judge wants to have some time to consider those arguments and the real harm that this is causing and the confusion it's causing to our clients, which is why I think we're seeing this extension of the deadline again.
And because that extension is kind of still extended and that carrot is dangling out there, would you advise any federal worker to take the buyout?
You know, federal workers, I'm not going to advise people individually on what is a personal decision, but what we know about this quote-unquote buyout is that it is really deserves a lot of careful consideration. You've seen a number of AGs, state attorneys general, warn about it. There are one-sided terms. There are terms in that buyout that are not fully representative or respectful of the service that our public servants have provided. And of course, we believe that there are a range of things that are unlawful about it. And so I think I would just make those comments for those that are seeking to consider what the administration is having them or is asking them to agree to.
In light of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau being targeted, can you explain, does your lawsuit cover all federal workers, or do you anticipate more lawsuits?
I anticipate that there will be more lawsuits. We've already seen one challenge today to the attempt to decimate the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. There have been a number of lawsuits filed on the administration's so-called Schedule F. And what all of these things show us is that the administration seems, and we saw a statement issued today by the American Bar Association about the importance of the rule of law. The administration is really operating outside the bounds of the rule of law, ignoring the directive of Congress, which means they're ignoring the will of the American people, and we and others will be in court to challenge that overreach.
Elon Musk, as you know, called for the impeachment of the federal judge who blocked Doge from Treasury systems access, and VP Vance said judges are not allowed to defy the executive's legitimate power. What do you make of this type of pushback against the courts?
You know, it was telegraphed right there in Project 2025. There's an express reference to ignoring the courts and the rule of law. That, of course, is not permitted by our Constitution. It's harmful to people, and it is going to be very important that the courts continue to stay strong, continue to review these motions that are having to be made about the administration's lack of compliance, and also that our Congress step in, regardless of whether you are liberal, conservative, or independent, regardless of whether you live in a blue state or a red state. We all have things that bind us together, and one of those is our Constitution and the need to respect the rule of law. And so I really hope that both branches of government, both the legislative branch with Congress and the courts, will continue to check what is really harmful and unprecedented administrative overreach by the president.
If the executive branch decides not to follow court orders, what other recourse is there?
The golden age of America begins right
now.
now.
I think that you'll start seeing recourse in the courts. There are a range of options that the courts have. And then again, I believe that there will have to be action by Congress. The American people, we the people, do have power, and we have power to check a runaway executive branch that is harming people and operating outside the bounds of the law. But everyone is going to have to use the levers of power that they have and their voices in this time, and that includes the United States Congress.
Sky Perryman, we thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
I will very simply.
Now to the latest executive order signed by President Trump tonight that imposes a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum. It immediately affects America's three largest suppliers, Canada, Brazil, and Mexico. And the president signaled that more tariffs are coming. It comes as China's retaliatory tariffs kick in. ABC's chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce has the latest on that.
Rebalanced.
Tonight, President Donald Trump launching a new front in his trade war, pledging to enforce the existing 25% tariff on all steel imported into the U.S. and raising the tariff on aluminum to 25%.
It's 25% without exceptions or exemptions, and that's all countries, no matter where it comes from, all countries. If made in the United States, however, United States of America, there is no tariff, zero. So if it's made in the United States, there is no tariff. All you have to do is make it in the United States.
The move has the potential to help domestic manufacturers of steel and aluminum, but could raise costs for some businesses and ultimately American consumers. Experts warning packaged goods, construction materials, and cars could end up costing more. And other countries are likely to retaliate with their own tariffs on American goods. The president now promising if that happens, he'll just impose even more tariffs on them going forward.
Very simply, it's if they charge us, we charge them.
Trump's move on trade only one of the ways he's upending the international order in his first month in office. He's also doubling down on his plan for the U.S. to take over Gaza.
I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza.
But his administration still hasn't explained how. The White House says American taxpayers won't foot the bill, and Trump has promised no soldiers by the U.S. would be needed. And he's making it clear the Palestinian people would not have the right to return to their homeland.
Think of it as a real estate development for the future. It would be a beautiful piece of land. No big money spent. No, they wouldn't, because they're going to have much better housing, much better. In other words, I'm talking about building a permanent place for them.
Mary Bruce joins us now from the White House. Mary, as you reported, the president now doubling down on owning Gaza, and Hamas has said that it's suspending the release of additional hostages. How's the president weighing in on this?
Well, just a short while ago in the Oval Office, the president saying that if Hamas doesn't release all of the remaining hostages on Saturday, that ceasefire deal he thinks should be canceled. President Trump saying all bets will be off, adding if they're not here, all hell is going to break out. Lindsay.
Mary Bruce from the White House for us. Thanks so much, Mary.
Thank you.
The latest hostage and prisoner exchange between Hamas and Israel took place on Saturday. 3 Israeli civilians looking gaunt and frail for 183 Palestinian prisoners. For now, the ceasefire holds in Gaza. But today, Hamas said that the next exchange set for this coming Saturday will not happen if Israel does not speed up aid shipments and allow more Palestinians to safely return to their homes in northern Gaza. Joining us now from Tel Aviv is Britt Clennett. So, Britt, what was Israel's response today?
Lindsay, Israel is now saying it's preparing at the highest level of alert for any possible scenario in Gaza. Israel and Hamas now accusing each other of violating the ceasefire agreement. But there are indications that in a broader sense, this move by Hamas, it may also be linked to President Trump's controversial comments about clearing out Gaza of the Palestinians. The question now is, how does Israel respond after the Security Cabinet meets? And even if this is just a negotiating tactic by Hamas, as they've now said the door remains open, either way, it's putting immense strain on this already fragile ceasefire, Lindsay.
And, Britt, for a very long time, the Palestinian Authority, which governs parts of the West Bank, had a system to pay families of prisoners involved in violence against Israel, a system Israelis sarcastically refer to as pay for slay. President Mahmoud Abbas said today that he's ending that process. Do we know his motivation?
To completely and totally reverse.
Right, so this is a policy that's been heavily criticized by the United States. This system, a reward for Palestinians who have been killed or imprisoned, some of whom have carried out deadly attacks. Palestinians reject that pay-for-slay label, but the Palestinian Authority, very controversial, not just for Israel, who accuse them of, quote, enabling terror, but militant factions also see them essentially as upholding the security situation in the West Bank and bolstering the military occupation. Now, this system, it has been a major source of income for anyone involved in the fighting, including, as I say, deadly attacks on Israelis. But ultimately, it feels like pressure has been put on the PA after these very dramatic prisoner releases in the West Bank. We saw them, major celebrations despite an Israeli clampdown and the presence of more Hamas flags than ever. But there does seem to be a policy of maximum pressure here, Lindsay.
Britt Clement in Tel Aviv for us. Britt, thanks so much. Tonight, we are seeing the last known image of a reporter found dead in his hotel room as he was in New Orleans to cover the Super Bowl. The Daily Mail released the photo just hours ago. ABC senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky has the latest on the investigation.
These are the last known images of Adon Manzano, showing the Telemundo sports reporter entering a Louisiana hotel at 3:46 a.m. last Wednesday. 12 hours later, he was found dead. The woman seen with him is Danette Colbert, who was now charged with using his credit card after he died. The surveillance images obtained by DailyMail.com. Tonight, police said they're working to determine whether Manzano was drugged before his death. They said Colbert has a history of drugging men.
Ms. Colbert has quite a record and rap sheet for confidence games. Ms. Colbert's criminal history does include 2 instances where she drugged a victim.
Since the 48-year-old's arrest, police said they've been contacted by people claiming to be her victims. Police have not said where they believe she met Manzano, but she is believed to be the last person to see him alive. The 27-year-old widowed father of a 2-year-old was in New Orleans to cover the Super Bowl.
Our thanks to Aaron Katersky. Next tonight, the developing story out of Arizona, another tragedy involving air travel. At least one person was killed when 2 jets collided at the Scottsdale Municipal Airport in Arizona. The Scottsdale Fire Department says that 3 others were transported to hospitals and another is still inside one of the planes. Firefighters are working to extract them. The FAA says one jet veered off the runway after landing and crashed into another jet on the ramp. Flights are temporarily paused from coming into the airport. The FAA is investigating. A group of investors led by Elon Musk has reportedly offered $97 billion to buy OpenAI, the company Musk founded with current CEO Sam Altman and others in 2015. Altman mocked Musk with a counteroffer to buy Musk's X for just $9 billion. Musk's unsolicited offer was significantly lower than OpenAI's recent $300 billion valuation by Japanese conglomerate SoftBank, which would make it one of the most valuable private companies in the world. The price of eggs is still skyrocketing as cases of bird flu spread across the country. Some supermarkets, including Costco and Trader Joe's, are limiting how many eggs customers can buy. Cars are lining up block after block to buy eggs from a California farm, and some restaurants have added a surcharge for eggs, while thefts have been reported from Pennsylvania to Washington State. ABC's chief national correspondent Matt Gutman reports.
We set records.
Tonight, with the price of eggs skyrocketing from bird flu, shortages are growing from coast to coast. From empty shelves at this BJ's Wholesale outside New York City to Chino, California, where cars wrapped around city blocks outside a local farm. And many are flocking to local farmers markets. How much would you say demand has gone up?
Like super high.
Times 2, times 3?
Times 5, probably.
Some chains like Costco and Trader Joe's are limiting the amount of eggs customers can buy, and at stores with eggs on the shelves, sticker shock.
It's like $10 a carton. I'm like, what?
Eggs are now so valuable they become a target for thieves. In Seattle, a surveillance camera captured suspects entering a shed behind Luna Park Cafe, where police say they stole more than 500 eggs. Pete and Jerry's Organics had to beef up security after thieves stole 100,000 eggs from their farm in Pennsylvania. Those suspects still at large. Bird flu has impacted tens of millions of farmed chickens, sending egg prices up 65% in the last year. The Waffle House chain is adding a 50-cent surcharge per egg. In Los Angeles, Cantor's Deli has been in business for over 100 years now.
So basically, just to explain this, you went from $5,000 a month a few years ago to now at least $23,000 to $25,000 a month for eggs.
Yeah, for pretty much the same product, for the same amount of eggs.
And they are drowning under those costs.
A business that's been in business for 105 years now can't break even.
Not just simply because of the eggs. That's enough to do it.
Revolution of common
And we are
sense.
following some breaking news. Our thanks to Matt Gutman for that. The Justice Department has just instructed federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York to drop the bribery case against New York Mayor Eric Adams. Aaron Katersky joins us now in studio. Aaron, just tell us what you're learning.
This came in a letter from the acting number 2 official at the Justice Department, Emil Bovee. The letter simply directed federal prosecutors here in New York, Lindsay, to drop the charges against Mayor Eric Adams, who was scheduled to go on trial this spring, charged with corrupting his office by taking bribes in the form of luxury travel benefits and the like in exchange for official favors. The most prominent of which federal prosecutors said was interfering in trying to get the new Turkish consulate open before the FDNY was comfortable with the operating permits. But tonight, the number 2 official in the Justice Department has instructed federal prosecutors to drop the criminal charges against Mayor Adams. Still not clear how the federal prosecutor's office is going to respond, because any decision like that would have to go before a judge.
And so we know that Mayor Adams did go visit Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago just a few weeks ago. Any known connection?
We don't know specifically what they discussed, and the mayor has been pretty coy about it, but I think there was no question he was pushing for a pardon or some kind of intervention by President Trump. Now, this comes way before the mayor even goes on trial. Was there any kind of quid pro quo? That we're not sure, but we know that Adams has been fairly quiet when it comes to issues like immigration or congestion pricing or other things where Trump may want to have some influence in New York where a different mayor may have outright stood in the way.
Quite a fascinating development. Aaron Katersky, our thanks to you.
Thanks.
Next, 77 million Americans are on a weather alert for 2 back-to-back storms. The first will bring heavy rain and snow starting Tuesday. And the weekend storms were a taste of what's to come. 3 inches of snow in New York City, more than 6 inches in Bourne, Massachusetts, making for treacherous roads. ABC's chief meteorologist Ginger Z is tracking what's up ahead. Ginger, time it out for us.
So, Lindsay, we'll start with Washington, D.C., who is at average 8.4 inches already this season. After a couple of measly years, this feels like real winter. And now you're going to surge above average with this next storm. There are warnings from Atlantic City back to Louisville, Kentucky. That's storm 1. But you see the other watches on the map, anywhere from Saginaw, Michigan to Garden City, Kansas. That's for the second storm. We're going to time both of them. Let's start with the first. And you know that for flood watches, too, there's a southern side to this that has some elevated risk of flash flooding. But from Louisville tomorrow morning over to Roanoke, it's already started. And then it really ramps up in Appalachia over to Washington, D.C. after the noon hour. And you'll be with it until the evening hours. And that's why it's going to add some places easily 4 to 6 inches. But I think somewhere like Fredericksburg or Charlottesville with a little more elevation could pick up even more. Delaware, southern New Jersey in there, too. Let's time the other one because it starts up as that one's gone Wednesday morning. But look at Kansas City, 6 a.m. time, they're already getting blasted, and they're above average already for this season. This is how the whole flip-flop of the season has gone. Meanwhile, Chicago is some 15 inches below average, so this could easily be their biggest storm of the season. They've only had 10 so far. Much of the lower peninsula of Michigan getting into it, especially north and west of Detroit, and then it turns to rain. So we may start here Wednesday night as a frozen precipitation or snow, but then it's going to transition over to rain for much of the I-95 corridor. Look at that rain bullseye, though. I mentioned 4 to 6 inches. There's an elevated risk of flash flooding back to northern Louisiana, Lindsay, and Texas.
And I have an eye on Kansas City. They just can't get a break these days, from the weather to the Phillies, Philadelphia Eagles. Some difficult times ahead there. All right, Ginger Z, our thanks to you.
Gold under our feet.
So much more to get to here on Prime. Coming up, the artificial intelligence app. Some lawmakers want banned from government devices as a matter of national security. But first, there may be a fragile ceasefire in Gaza, but Israel is steadily beating the drums of war in the West Bank inside the Palestinian resistance, and the families willing to pay the ultimate price for freedom.
يعني دفعت 8 سنوات أنا مضيتها في السجن، أولادي مضوا سنوات في السجن.
Be able to buy the car of your choice. We will build automobiles in America again at a rate that nobody could have dreamt possible just a few years ago.
Freeze Morgan Guillory major crimes.
Where did you get this?
Check out at the dollar store.
You
hired me because I noticed things that you miss.
Let's solve this case.
Bingo. Our killer's name is Dubois.
Did you just Google who's the killer on your phone, Morgan?
No, I did not do that.
Enrich our citizens.
Welcome to the Hollywood Bowl.
Lion King was a huge part of my childhood. This is the first time we actually sing these songs together.
Lion King cast members from past and present come together on one stage. The Lion King at the Hollywood Bowl, now streaming only on Disney+.
If you're the most followed person on all of YouTube and you almost never do interviews, where do you come first?
All right, GMA interview. This will be fun.
GMA this week.
350 million YouTube subscribers. #1 show on Amazon Prime. You're 26. How did this all come to be?
Mr. Beast tells all.
Oh, boy.
So what does he now want you to know about his Beast empire, his personal life, and what's next?
Let's do it.
This week, only on
Good Morning America.
Who is this guy?
He was kind of creepy. Pure evil.
We were shocked.
This is every woman's nightmare. This is not just any killer.
There was 11 skulls.
Drawn using a finger in blood.
All of these victims' souls belong to him.
They're mine. I'm more sane than most Americans.
This guy is an evil genius. He's the best serial killer that ever existed. He compared himself to Ted Bundy.
Wild Crime, 11 Skulls, only on Hulu.
Mr. President?
You were the last person to see the president alive.
Pim's trying to warn me.
Agent Collins,
You're the only one I really trust, and I want to tell you the truth. You're about to be entrusted with top secret information.
The president did something. You're going to want to hear this.
The biggest secret is right under your nose.
What aren't you telling me?
You know how difficult my dad is.
You know, I hear everything from in here.
I'm broke and I need a place to stay until I find a job. Can we try to talk to each other like rational adults?
You watch the news lately? That's not a thing anymore. You could go back to law school. That's always been your dream.
Actually, that was your dream for me.
You like to argue.
You do love to argue.
Might as well get paid for it.
Welcome back, everyone. The Gaza Strip and West Bank have been occupied by Israel ever since they emerged the victors of the Six-Day War back in 1967. Palestinians hope both territories will one day be part of a nation state that they can call their own, but As our Break Planet reports, that dream is as distant as it's ever been since Hamas's October 7th attack. Much of Gaza is now destroyed, while Israel has, at the same time, been steadily beating the drums of war in the West Bank. Israel's far right says now is the time to annex the territory once and for all.
It may look like home, but just days ago, this family were forced to flee their town of Jenin in the occupied West Bank. Grandfather, grandmother, 10 grandchildren. Sana Al-Zubaydi says they left at a moment's notice. Driving through Burkine village, where many of the displaced families have fled, you see the faces of slain Palestinian fighters down the years. In Israel, they are terrorists. Here, they are seen as resistance fighters, revered as martyrs. Even Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, the mastermind of the October 7th attacks, plastered in the town square. Jenin is known as a militant stronghold. This is a place that does not know peace. It isn't Gaza, though you'd be forgiven for thinking it was. Now, war has come to the West Bank.
You can see the smoke rising there in the distance. Another building demolished. Dozens of people killed, thousands displaced in the fiercest fighting here in decades.
The IDF says Operation Iron Wall is different. They say they are striking at the heart of terror in the West Bank. Bulldozers ripping up the streets, airstrikes. Controlled demolitions destroying dozens of houses. Streams of people fleeing the Jenin refugee camp, where they have lived since they were displaced in Israel's founding in 1948. 16,000 people have left, according to the local mayor, taking all they can, heeding warnings from the IDF given by leaflet, by drone, by loudspeaker. Roads dug up, restricting movement and cutting off communities across the northern West Bank. Palestinians routinely stopped and searched. This war disrupting almost every part of daily life here. And there's no end in sight. Jamal Al-Zubaydi has already lost 2 of his sons in the fighting. Another was injured, and a 4th is in jail.
Israel says that Jenin is at the center of terror, militancy. What do you think of that?
أنا بقول إن جنين مش مركز الإرهاب. جنين هي مركز المقاومة ضد الإرهاب اللي بيمارسه الكيان الصهيوني. لأنهم هم الإرهابيين، هم اللي احتلوا أرضنا، هم اللي شردونا من بيوتنا، فهم الإرهابيين.
In a statement to ABC News, the IDF said they have thwarted 2,000 attempted terror attacks since October 7th, describing the West Bank as a complex security reality where they are dealing daily with terrorism and violent disturbance. The statement going on to say the IDF follows international law and terrorist operatives had exploited civilian infrastructure. With the expansion of the raids comes tragedy. Cries at a funeral for a 2-year-old baby. Layla Al-Khatib killed by gunfire after an Israeli raid on Jenin, according to Palestinian officials. And this security video from Tulkarm, showing the moment 10-year-old Saddam Hussein Rajam was shot by the IDF on January 28th. Left in critical condition, he died just over a week later. The IDF said they are aware of both incidents and have launched investigations. Israel is adamant this is just the beginning.
מחנה הפליטים ג'נין לא יחזור להיות מה שהיה. אחרי השלמת המבצע יישארו כוחות צה"ל במחנה כדי לוודא שהטרור לא יחזור.
There have been many battles in Jenin, and the family are determined to return to their homes.
What if the IDF stays in Jenin?
راح تستمر المقاومة. ما فيش شيء بيجي بدون ثمن يعني.
To what extent are you willing to pay a price?
دفعت أغلى ما عندي. يعني دفعت ثمن السنوات أنا مضيتها في السجن، أولادي مضوا سنوات في السجن، أولادي اليوم تحت التراب، لا أبعد الحدود حتى النهاية.
Our thanks to Britt Clenny. Coming up, President Trump said he'll direct the Treasury to stop minting pennies, which cost more than they're worth. But can he do it without congressional approval? And it was a statistical anomaly, a lopsided Super Bowl from the very start. We'll break it all down for you by the numbers. Stay with us.
We will not be deterred. Together we will end the chronic disease epidemic and keep our children safe, healthy, and disease-free. The United States.
Amanda Riley was a mother, wife.
Everybody loved her. I heard the words, "You have stage 3 blood cancer."
We gave our hearts, our prayers. We thought she was God's gift, but she was a liar.
Why would somebody fake cancer?
There's all these pictures of her in the hospital with IVs, tubing. It was only a matter of time until Amanda's whole world came tumbling down.
Oh my God! The all-new shocking episode of Scamanda, Thursday night on ABC.
Get this, people. Now we're streaming every weekend, right to you.
With an all-new show, an all-new view, special for the weekends. Now you can catch The View 7 days a week.
I wonder if you can handle it.
It's The Weekend View.
The Weekend View.
It's The Weekend View. Streaming on ABC News Live, wherever you stream. Take a little time to enjoy The Weekend View.
See you on the weekend!
Now streaming Saturday and Sunday mornings on ABC News Live, wherever you stream.
Welcome to the Hollywood Bowl.
Lion King was a huge part of my childhood. This is the first time we actually sing these songs together.
Lion King cast members from past and present come together on one stage. The Lion King at the Hollywood Bowl, now streaming only on Disney+.
Freeze, Morgan Guillory, Major Crimes.
Where did you get this?
Check out at the dollar store. You hired me because I notice things that you miss.
Let's solve this case.
Bingo. Our killer's name is Dubois.
Did you just Google who's the killer on your phone, Morgan?
No, I did not do that.
Reporting from the war in Ukraine, I'm Ian Pannell. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
To stage such a historic political comeback.
What point in the game did you allow yourself to think, I'm a Super Bowl champ?
Honestly, going into the locker room and seeing my teammates celebrating, that's when it hit.
Does it feel even better than you thought it would?
I didn't know how it. I didn't even know how to put it into words. But I'm just a ton of gratitude, and I'm truly blessed.
That was Eagles Super Bowl winning quarterback Jalen Hurts basking in his first Super Bowl title. The front page of ESPN today said the Eagles played a perfect game and the Chiefs were a disaster. What just happened? Well, tonight we will tell you what happened by the numbers. The final score was 40-22, but make no mistake, this game was not even close. The Eagles jumped out to a 34-0 lead. The Chiefs only had 23 total yards at halftime. The MVP of the game, number one, Jalen Hurts. Hurts so good, had 293 total yards and a Super Bowl record for a quarterback, 72 yards rushing. Hurts is the first ever QB to lose a Super Bowl to a team and later beat the same team in the Super Bowl again. With 2 minutes, 52 seconds to go in the game and the score 40-14, the Eagles decided it was time for that Gatorade bath. If you watch the game for Kendrick Lamar's halftime show, some quick numbers there. Lamar played 12 songs, including his smash hit, Not Like Us. And the total length, the time of his set, 13 minutes. But back to the Eagles. This was the team's second Super Bowl win in the last 7 years. The sure-to-be raucous victory parade down Broad Street in Philadelphia is set to take place on Friday. Coming up, for decades, the U.S. government, through USAID, bought surplus grains from farmers to feed a hungry world. We'll talk with Kansas farmers about what would happen should those payments disappear. NBA superstar Luka Doncic was traded to the Lakers more than a week ago, but we haven't seen him in a game since late December. Might that change tonight? Stay with us.
Dreams for their child, and every child who dreams for their future. I will fight for you, and I will...
Freeze, Morgan Guillory, Major Crimes.
Where did you get this?
Check out at the dollar store. You hired me because I notice things that you miss.
Let's solve this case.
Bingo. Our killer's name is Dubois.
Did you just Google who's the killer on your phone, Morgan?
No, I did not do that.
Make it great again,
Attention teachers, no child is to be sent to the principal's office today. Kids, if you want to do prom, now's the time. Happy birthday in school.
Yes! Weren't there like 4 more of these?
Yeah, we were robbed.
Hey, buy 3, get 1 free.
I'ma call your mother on you. Bring the rest back here, boy.
We will be prosperous. We will be proud.
What's good to watch, read? Where can I get a great deal on what I'm just dying to buy? Oh, it's all right here. GMA Life. All the exclusive and buzziest celebrity good stuff. Deals and steals with amazing savings and the coolest lifestyle tips from Good Morning America.
Get excited!
I love that so much. It's time for GMA Life.
GMA Life, streaming weekends on ABC News Live. Your weekend just got a little better with GMA Life.
I love this version of me.
America's #1 most watched daytime talk show is ABC's The View.
You all heard it here first. I love it. I'm there for it.
Hot topics, political views.
That's what we're about.
Voices that matter. It all goes down right here.
That's why it's called the what? The View. I love it. I'm all in. Second that. This is going to be must-see TV, and so much could happen.
You know something serious about to happen. I have an idea.
You guys have eyes on your targets.
Shouldn't we strategize?
Come on, we're gonna improvise. Freestyle.
Justice Roberts.
No.
Justice United States Supreme Court. President Clinton, President Bush, President Obama, President Biden.
An explosion at a chemical plant injures more than a dozen people. Why some lawmakers want to ban an artificial intelligence app from government devices. And goodbye, penny. The U.S. Treasury is told to stop minting the 1-cent coin. These stories and more in tonight's rundown.
Connecticut police say 2 suspects were arrested last week after they allegedly struck a police cruiser and a brick wall while attempting to evade officers in a stolen vehicle. Officers on patrol noticed a car that was reported stolen and tried to stop it, but the driver sped up and collided with a police cruiser and a brick wall. Officers apprehended the driver and passenger on the scene. Officials said the driver was treated for a cut on his face and charged with reckless driving, among other crimes. New York government employees are barred from downloading DeepSeek's artificial intelligence application onto state devices due to security concerns, Governor Kathy Hochul announced Monday. Experts tell ABC News that the Chinese-made DeepSeek chatbot has code hidden in its programming with the capability to send user data directly to the Chinese government. Members of the House Intelligence Committee have introduced legislation that would ban the app on all government devices. A solar storm is bringing spectacular views of the northern lights to the northernmost U.S. states. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, people in Idaho, Minnesota, Montana, North Dakota, Washington, and Wisconsin have the best chance of catching the aurora borealis. The hours before and after midnight are the best times to look skyward. At least 13 people were injured after a massive industrial fire led to an explosion in Pennsylvania Sunday morning outside Pittsburgh. A shelter-in-place order was issued for the surrounding area, and officials said the fire was isolated after several hours. 6 firefighters and 7 employees working at the plant were taken to the hospital with minor injuries from the blast. Los Angeles Lakers superstar Luka Doncic was upgraded from questionable to probable for Monday night's home game against the Utah Jazz. Doncic's much-anticipated debut since last week's stunning trade from Dallas was delayed as he rehabs from a left calf strain. The Lakers, who are taking carrying a 5-game winning streak into the matchup with Utah, will be giving away Doncic's number 77 jerseys at the arena. You may have a few less coins rattling around in your piggy bank. President Trump announced that he has directed the Treasury to stop minting the 1-cent coin. Because of the rising cost of metal, it costs 3.69 cents to make the 1-cent coin. It's not clear if the president can eliminate the currency entirely without an act of Congress, but this isn't the first time the United States has gotten rid of a low-value coin. The humble half-cent coin was discontinued by Congress in 1857.
To defend American borders, or more importantly,
For more than 70 years, the U.S. government has purchased surplus grains from American farmers and sent them overseas to feed hungry communities from Africa and Asia to South America and Ukraine. The program is called Food for Peace.
Get food to these food-deficient areas. It's also really good for developing goodwill with the United States.
And in Louise, Kansas, Senator Jerry Moran says that stuck shipments have resumed, but taking a step back, if this program ultimately goes away, what impact will it have on your farm?
Well, the USAID annually buys about $2 billion worth of surplus ag commodities like wheat and grain sorghum that Louise and I grow right here on our farm. And that does help support net farm income. And by the way, we are having a real crisis out here in terms of income. Kansas State University economists say cost of producing wheat is $2 a bushel higher than what the market is currently giving us. So, any market like through USAID is definitely appreciated.
Yeah, Louise, how would you say that the Food for Aid program has benefited you?
Decline is over.
Well, it's been, there's only so many Kansans, and we cannot clearly eat all the wheat that we produce or the grain sorghum. And so we rely on customers, whether that's USAID or other countries through USAID. We need customers to buy our product, or we're SOL. I mean, we don't have a market, and it's critical. Absolutely.
Well, anyway, these grain commodities are going to a lot of these food deficient areas like sub-Saharan Africa, the Middle East, Latin and South America, Ukraine, and are helping to build goodwill over there. And so that's a real strong plus for the program. But in addition, the USAID funds a lot of research at land-grant universities like K-State.
But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. Thank you. Thank you very much. That is why each day under our administration of American patriots, we will be working to meet every crisis with dignity and power and strength. We will move with purpose and speed to bring back hope, prosperity, safety, and peace for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. For American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day. It is my hope that our recent presidential election will be remembered as the greatest and most consequential election in the history of our country. As our victory showed, the entire nation is rapidly unifying behind our agenda with dramatic increases in support from virtually every element of our society, young and old, men and women, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, urban, suburban, rural, and very importantly, we had a powerful win in all 7 swing states, and the popular vote, we won by millions of people. To the Black and Hispanic communities, I want to thank you for the tremendous outpouring of love and trust that you have shown me with your vote. We set records, and I will not forget it. I've heard your voices in the campaign, and I look forward to working with you in the years to come. Today is Martin Luther King Day, and his honor, this will be a great honor, but in his honor, we will strive together to make his dream a reality. We will make his dream come true. Thank you. Thank you. National unity is now returning to America, and confidence and pride is soaring like never before. In everything we do, my administration will be inspired by a strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. We will not forget our country, we will not forget our Constitution, and we will not forget our God. Can't do that. Today, I will sign a series of historic executive orders. With these actions, we will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense. It's all about common sense. First, I will declare a national emergency at our southern border. Illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. We will reinstate my Remain in Mexico policy. I will end the practice of catch and release. And I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country. Under the orders I signed today, we will also be designating the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. And by invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, I will direct our government to use the full and immense power of federal and state law enforcement to eliminate the presence of all foreign gangs and criminal networks, bringing devastating crime to U.S. soil, including our cities and inner cities. As Commander-in-Chief, I have no higher responsibility than to defend our country from threats and invasions, and that is exactly what I am going to do. We will do it at a level that nobody's ever seen before. Next, I will direct all members of my cabinet to marshal the vast powers at their disposal to defeat what was record inflation and rapidly bring down costs and prices. The inflation crisis was caused by massive overspending and escalating energy prices, and that is why today I will also declare a national energy emergency. We will drill, baby, drill. America will be a manufacturing nation once again, and we have something that no other manufacturing nation will ever have, the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we are going to use it. Let me use it. We will bring prices down, fill our strategic reserves up again, right to the top, and export American energy all over the world. We will be a rich nation again, and it is that liquid gold under our feet that will help to do it. With my actions today, we will end the Green New Deal and we will revoke the electric vehicle mandate, saving our auto industry and keeping my sacred pledge to our great American auto workers. In other words, you'll be able to buy the car of your choice. We will build automobiles in America again at a rate that nobody could have dreamt possible just a few years ago. And thank you to the auto workers of our nation for your inspiring vote of confidence. We did tremendously with their vote. I will immediately begin the overhaul of our trade system to protect American workers and families. Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens. For this purpose, we are establishing the External Revenue Service to collect all tariffs, duties, and revenues. It will be massive amounts of money pouring into our treasury, coming from foreign sources. The American dream will soon be back and thriving like never before to restore competence and effectiveness to our federal government. My administration will establish the brand new Department of Government Efficiency. After years and years of illegal and unconstitutional federal efforts to restrict free expression, I will also sign an executive order to immediately stop all government censorship and bring back free speech to America. Never again will the immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute political opponents, something I know something about. We will not allow that to happen. It will not happen again. Under my leadership, we will restore fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law. And we are going to bring law and order back to our cities. This week, I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. This week, I will reinstate any service members who were unjustly expelled from our military for objecting to the COVID vaccine mandate with full back pay. And I will sign an order to stop our warriors from being subjected to radical political theories and social experiments while on duty. It's going to end immediately. Our armed forces will be freed to focus on their sole mission, defeating America's enemies. Like in 2017, we will again build the strongest military the world has ever seen. We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars that we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into. My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier. I'm pleased to say that as of yesterday, one day before I assumed office, the hostages in the Middle East are coming back home to their families. Thank you. America will reclaim its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, most respected nation on earth, inspiring the awe and admiration of the entire world. A short time from now, we are going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and we will restore the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley, where it should be and where it belongs. President McKinley made our country very rich through tariffs and through talent. He was a natural businessman and gave Teddy Roosevelt the money for many of the great things he did, including the Panama Canal, which has foolishly been given to the country of Panama after the United States. The United States, I mean, think of this, spent more money than ever spent on a project before and lost 38,000 lives in the building of the Panama Canal. We have been treated very badly from this foolish gift that should have never been made, and Panama's promise to us has been broken. The purpose of our deal and the spirit of our treaty has been totally violated. American ships are being severely overcharged and not treated fairly in any way, shape, or form, and that includes the United States Navy. And above all, China is operating the Panama Canal, and we didn't give it to China, we gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back. Above all, my message to Americans today is that it is time for us to once again act with courage, vigor, and the vitality of history's greatest civilization. So as we liberate our nation, we will lead it to new heights of victory and success. We will not be deterred. Together we will end the chronic disease epidemic and keep our children safe, healthy, and disease-free. The United States will once again consider itself a growing nation, one that increases our wealth, expands our territory, builds our cities, raises our expectations, and carries our flag into new and beautiful horizons. And we will pursue our manifest destiny into the stars, launching American astronauts to plant the stars and stripes on the planet Mars. Ambition is the lifeblood of a great nation. And right now, our nation is more ambitious than any other. There's no nation like our nation. Americans are explorers, builders, innovators, entrepreneurs, and pioneers. The spirit of the frontier is written into our hearts. The call of the next great adventure resounds from within our souls. Our American ancestors turned a small group of colonies on the edge of a vast continent into a mighty republic of the most extraordinary citizens on earth. No one comes close. Americans pushed thousands of miles through a rugged land of untamed wilderness. They crossed deserts, scaled mountains, braved untold dangers, won the Wild West, ended slavery, rescued millions from tyranny, lifted billions from poverty, harnessed electricity, split the atom, launched mankind into the heavens, and put the universe of human knowledge into the palm of the human hand. If we work together, there is nothing we cannot do and no dream we cannot achieve. Many people thought it was impossible for me to stage such a historic political comeback. But as you see today, here I am. The American people have spoken. I stand before you now as proof that you should never believe that something is impossible to do. In America, the impossible is what we do best. From New York to Los Angeles, from Philadelphia to Phoenix, from Chicago to Miami, from Houston to right here in Washington, D.C., our country was forged and built by the generations of patriots who gave everything they had for our rights and for our freedom. They were farmers and soldiers, cowboys and factory workers, steel workers and coal miners, police officers and pioneers who pushed onward, marched forward. And let no obstacle defeat their spirit or their pride. Together they laid down the railroads, raised up the skyscrapers, built great highways, won 2 world wars, defeated fascism and communism, and triumphed over every single. Thank you. In recent years, our nation has suffered greatly, but we are going to bring it back and make it great again, greater than ever before. We will be a nation like no other, full of compassion, courage, and exceptionalism. Our power will stop all wars and bring a new spirit of unity to a world that has been angry, violent, and totally unpredictable. America will be respected again and admired again, including by people of religion, faith, and goodwill. We will be prosperous. We will be proud. We will be strong, and we will win like never before. We will not be conquered. We will not be intimidated. We will not be broken, and we will not fail. From this day on, the United States of America will be a free, sovereign, and independent nation. We will stand bravely. We will live proudly. We will dream boldly, and nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours, and our golden age has just begun. Thank you. God bless America. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Well, thank you very, very much. Vice President Vance, Speaker Johnson, Senator Thune, Chief Justice Roberts, Justices of the United States Supreme Court, President Clinton, President Bush, President Obama, President Biden, Vice President Harris, and my fellow citizens. The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first. Our sovereignty will be reclaimed. Our safety will be restored. The scales of justice will be rebalanced. The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and our government will end. And our top priority will be to create a nation that is proud, prosperous, and free. America will soon be greater, stronger, and far more exceptional than ever before. I return to the presidency confident and optimistic that we are at the start of a thrilling new era of national success. A tide of change is sweeping the country. Sunlight is pouring over the entire world. And America has the chance to seize this opportunity like never before. But first, we must be honest about the challenges we face. While they are plentiful, they will be annihilated. Momentum that the world is now witnessing in the United States of America. As we gather today, our government confronts a crisis of trust. For many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. We now have a government that cannot manage even a simple crisis at home, while at the same time stumbling into a continuing catalog of catastrophic events abroad. It fails to protect our magnificent, law-abiding American citizens, but provides sanctuary and protection for dangerous criminals, many from prisons and mental institutions, that have illegally entered our country from all over the world. We have a government that has given unlimited funding but we can't let this happen. Everyone is unable to do anything about it. That's going to change. We have a public health system that does not deliver in times of disaster, yet more money